Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't already, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to this channel and hit the post notification bell button so that you can get a notification every time I post a video. So today I'm doing a video on the backstory on how I realized that I like females, and then my coming out story to my mom. I didn't get a chance to come out to my dad. He passed before I could come out, but yeah, so let's get into that story time. All right, guys, sucking on this lollipop. I just like blow pops. But anyway, basically, I realized that I like females when I was like 7 years old, and I can kind of pinpoint when it was, and I don't know why I can, but I can. It was when I was definitely in elementary school, and a girl hugged me one time. It was one of those type situations, and even though I was 7 and I was young, it felt like, I don't know, it had a feeling. It was like a feeling that came over me, and I'm like that was different. Like, am I supposed to feel that way whenever I hug somebody? Or is it a situation where, you know, something is not right? And it was just a friendly hug. She gave me a hug. I'm like, okay. And don't get me wrong, I did look at her in another way. I'm like, she's very pretty. But, you know, I didn't think nothing of it. At 7, you're like, oh, well, you know, you're not really thinking, you know, it could be something more. I just know I like the hug. That's pretty much what I knew. So I'm like, okay. So then shortly after that, I'm like, okay, as I got older, I realized that even more and more I would give hugs to females, and I would like the hugs. I'm like, you know, because I think it was around 9 or 10, but that's when you start hitting puberty by that time. So it's just like, no, this is something a little different than, you know, I would hug a guy. I would hug a guy and get the same feeling. But why am I hugging a girl and getting that same exact feeling? It was just different to me. So I didn't realize what it was. So I would say maybe when I hit middle school, I really kind of knew because of like certain things I would watch. And I'm not going to go into details as to what it was. But you know, the late night stuff. It would be with females. It would be females. I realized that was the attraction that I had with those videos. It was just like, okay, why am I looking at these females and not looking at one that is both heterosexual, you know, both a man and a woman. So that was my choice of what to watch. You know, I'm trying to talk into clues, but I think you guys get my drift. So I'm like, okay, that's different. And then, you know, I just kind of realized after a while, I'm like, something is weird about that. Like, you should like the other one with the man and the female. Why are you looking at these females? And, you know, it was, you know, making me a happy person. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. So again, I still dealt with guys throughout this time. You know, I was still dealing with guys. Nothing on the like intimate level, but it was just more of like I would get with these guys and stuff like that, and I just wanted to be with guys. So I'm like, okay. So I would say about high school, they had something called, excuse me, I had a hash smoke today. I'm sorry to cut into this story. I had a hash smoke today. It was hot, and I got acid reflux. So it is like causing me all type of problems, and I don't burp. That's a whole nother story, guys. I'm not going to get into it. So then my 11th grade year, I had a boyfriend. And, well, no, my 10th and 11th grade year was like an in-between time. And I think my 11th and 12th grade year was kind of in between, and then 12th grade to college. So during that time frame, my neighbor niece came to stay with her. And when she came to stay with her, I thought she was like, yeah, I got a niece. Y'all are right around the same age. I think she's a year younger than you. But I think, it would be good. Can you help me with her? Because I've helped her before with one of her grandchildren's, by just kind of making sure he was, getting in and off the bus. And making sure that I walked home with him and, all that kind of stuff. So this wasn't the first time I helped this neighbor out. So she was like, yeah, but she's your age, so I think it'd be good for y'all to walk to school together and all that. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I see this girl, and I knew then, I said, this is going to be a problem. I already knew, like, it was something that I felt. I'm like, this is going to be different. And in a good way, but then I don't know how good it's going to be. But for me, it was, because when I say fine, like, this thing was everything, okay? Everything about her. So I'm like, why would this happen? Like, what is the odds of me having to spend time with somebody or make sure this person gets to where they need to be at school? And like, I'm already feeling girls, but I can't come out and say it. But here this girl is, just dropped into my life. You know how they say that the little, they just kind of just fall into. It was one of those type situations which kind of just fell into my lap. I said, oh my goodness, this is everything. Okay. So mind you, I meet this person for the first time. It's an instant click. Like, she was cool. She was funny. She smoked. It was just like, she was like a bad girl, but she was a stud. And she was just like a thug. And you like a thug in any form. I like thug guys, but here this is, she's a thug and stuff. Like, she cusses, it was everything. I'm like, okay. So again, we click. We are like, at this point, I'm making sure, she's going to class. I'm not making sure she's going to class, but I'm like making sure she understands her schedule. This is what it is. We're in this. Okay. Boom. Whatever. So fast forward to about my 11th grade year. I get a car. I get my license, get my learners. So now we're at a point where now we got a car. So now we can go anywhere we want. Like, where are we going? That kind of thing. So I'm like, okay. She gets in my car. And we're like driving around everywhere, because when you get your license for the first time, you want to go this place, you want to go that place, you want to go wherever. You just want to just be out of the house. Now you have this new sense of freedom. You don't have to ask your parents or nobody else to take you nowhere. Everything is there. So I'm like, okay. So every time I got in that car, she got in that car. It was like a situation. She would come down here. We would go to the store. We would go to like hangout places. We would go to the bar. We went to Applebee's was our spot. Like, we stayed at the Applebee's at the bar. First of all, we were young. We shouldn't have been sitting at the bar. But we were at the bar, sitting there like we were getting drinks. And we just hung out together like for a long time. And when you see her, you see me. When you see her, you see, like, it was one of those kind of things, like they say on the TikTok thing. When you see her, you see me. When I see her, it was one of those kind of things. So I'm like, okay, bet. So we're at this time, like, I'm already catching feelings at this point, okay? I caught feelings the first day I seen her. But like, now it's apparent, like, not only are you cute, but now we're spending all of this time together. Like, what is this? So then she slipped up one day and she was like, babe. I said, yeah, yes.
Yeah, yes.
Yes, daddy. Anyway, I was like, yes. And she was like, oh my God, like, I didn't even mean, like, we just clicked. Like, everything is like I like you. I'm like, what? It made me look back and say, wait a minute, like, what is this? Okay, so then after that point, I'm like, but me being me, I'm like, I'm kind of scared, because I'm like, let me like rewind a little bit. My father told me, he said, listen, when you hang out with people like that, he shouldn't have said like that, but my father was kind of blunt. He would say what it was, and that's it. He didn't care how it made people feel. But when you hang out with people like that, this is what he said, you tend to go that way. But little did he know, I already in my mind was going that way anyway. I always like females. But he never knew that. So he just was like, if you hang around her, that's what's going to happen. And I'm like, no, like that can't happen. Like, it's not going to happen. It was happening. It was unfolding then. So I'm like, okay. So then shortly after that, we went down. Actually, I was going to see another guy. And this is how I knew. I said, she's definitely like liking me on a whole nother level. We went down to see the guy. She helped me drive down there because this guy was in Baltimore. She was like kind of, you know, blocking in a way. I'm not going to say the word, but you know what I mean. And I'm like, why is she acting that way? But she was some kind of way, but that's because she had feelings for me too. So it was like a situation where we both had feelings for each other. So, you know, we talked about it, but we knew that it wasn't going to work because of our parents. Well, because of her aunt and because of my parents. So I'm like, okay, like, I mean, I definitely want you in my life, like hands down. Like, we've been spending every day together for the past 2 years, pretty much. Like, I definitely want you in my life. And at the time, I was not with anybody because it was like in between the time where I think I had broke up. Well, no, I wasn't even with the guy that I was with in the 12th grade, I don't think. No, I wasn't even with him because I don't think he knew anything about her. So that wasn't the situation. So I think it was like the around that time, like the 10th or 11th grade, 11 into summer. I think it was. But I wasn't with anybody. And I don't think she was with anybody. So we were just spending a lot of time together. And of course, feelings grow. So that's pretty much what happened with that. So I knew then, and of course we would, you know, hug and all the other stuff. I knew then that it was definitely something that I would want to explore. So that's the backstory of pretty much what happened, and not what made me be that way, but that was the backstory on me actually knowing then that I was bi. Was then, when just dealing with her on that level, I knew then that's what it was. So fast forward to 2006, which was the year that my dad passed away. I had spoke with my mom and I just told her, because I was seeking therapy because of the grieving process, but I also had a situation where I'm like, I also need to come out. Like, I need to live freely. Like, if I want to date a guy, I date a guy. If I want to date a girl, I date a girl. But I wanted that option, and I wanted to be able to live out in the open with it. So I remember crying. I remember I was in the living room, and I remember crying about you know, my dad. I was grieving about that. And then I said, you know what? It's the perfect opportunity. Kill two birds with one stone. I'm grieving about my dad, but let me also tell my mom that I'm bi. Like, I like guys and girls. So I told her, I said, you know, I got something to tell you. And she was like, well, what is it? And I said, well, I've always liked females. Like, I like guys too, but I also like females as well. And she was like, okay. She said, I mean, I'm not going to say I seen it coming. She said, but I do know that you were hanging out with that person. And I knew, you know, y'all were really close. And I said, yeah, we were. I said, but that wasn't the reason why I felt that way, or that I'm bi. I knew that way before. And she was like, okay. She was like, well, I don't care if you bring me a daughter-in-law or a son-in-law. She said, that's completely up to you. She said, I'm going to support you no matter what. And that was just the kind of person that she was. She never criticized anything that I did. You know, she always cheered me on whatever choice that I made. And, you know, it definitely wasn't a situation where she was like, get out of my house. It wasn't that. She never did that. Or, you know, I'm going to disown you if you like that. Like, it was never that type situation with her. She was always understanding, and she didn't care who I brought home. So I could say that I had a really good coming out story to my mom, because she understood and she was okay with it. So, yeah. So that was my story time for that. That was my coming out story to my mom and the backstory. So if you have any questions or anything about, you know, this video, or if you have more questions that you want to ask, or if I did not, if I missed something, or you feel like I missed something, just put your comments down below, and I'll definitely answer them in a future video. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.